Hello, FBC Salinas. This is Pastor John coming to you with another edition of the Midweek Refresher video, where I desire to do two things. Number one, provide you some information, and number two, provide you some inspiration for you in the middle of your week. Certainly hope your week is going well. We had a wonderful weekend celebrating Jesus Christ and his resurrection, and I hope the joy of celebrating him continues guiding you this upcoming week and for the weeks ahead. So, main thing of information is that this Sunday is our annual meeting. It's going to happen right after the worship service, and we have two items on the agenda. Number one is we are going to be voting on the budget, and number two, we are going to be voting to confirm Conway Coe as an elder. It's going to be a great time, and it's going to be a great meeting. And we invite you to be praying for us about this. If you have questions, please email us, text us, call us, whatever. We will be more than happy to answer those questions. So the second item, right, is confirming Conway Coe. Many of you have come up to me and said, hey, why haven't we gotten to know Conway any better? And well, part of the deal is Conway has literally been out of the country. And when I mean out of the country, I'm not just saying Canada or Mexico. I'm saying 15-hour time zone difference out of the country. And so he's been in Taiwan for the last 4 or 5 weeks or so in that area. He's back, and the inspirational portion of the midweek is this. Going to get to interview Conway. And so Conway, slide on over here, brother. And so everybody, this is Conway. You guys, those of you that don't know him, it's Conway Coe. Wonderful individual. I'm just going to say that straight up. I hope that's okay that I introduce you as a wonderful individual.
All right.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask Conway a few questions, and then as I ask you the questions, just answer. Take your time in them. I think the people here want to get to know you a little bit better. I know they do. And many people already know you pretty well. You're involved in a life group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's been a good experience?
Excellent experience. I just had a good discussion at Cindy's place and great food last night. Yeah.
Right? Food, here's a real quick thing. Food is always a good thing at life groups, right? I mean, it's fantastic. And Cindy Hewlett's and your life group, there isn't a single person in your life group that does not know how to cook.
I ate so much.
Exactly. So that's good stuff. So that's good. Conway, how long have you been attending FBC Salinas?
I have been attending since 2007. So it's been a while.
About 15 years.
15 years.
So
yep.
You've seen the church go through quite a few changes over those years, correct?
Yes.
All right. That's fantastic. Go ahead. You look like you wanted to say something else.
Well, yeah. And my wife and I, we came here, Margie, and we came to this church, and we found this church to be very friendly and very easy to get to know people.
Good.
And which is great. And we loved it.
Good.
And we stayed ever since.
That's fantastic. Well, we're grateful that you stayed ever since. I'm grateful because I've been able to been blessed by you in the last 5.5 years to get to know you a little bit better, and I'm grateful for that. So you went to Taiwan. You were born in Taiwan. That's where you were raised. Then you went to pharmacy school here in the States, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I went to Taiwan this time because my wife, Margie, passed away in December 2020. And ever since then, I wanted to go back to the place where I met her, way back in 1978 at a YMCA when I was preparing to come over here to study at the pharmacy school for pharmacology. And so I was thinking about that, and I said, you know what, I better just go, because if I can be thinking for a long time and not doing it. So even though with COVID, I have to do a PCR test before I go, and then everything, all the restrictions and stuff, and the airplane was like only a quarter full.
Wow.
Which was great.
Yeah, because you have plenty of legroom at that point, right?
There's always something nice when the situation is bad. So I went there and I had a great time. I went to the YMCA, which is totally different now. It's a restaurant now. It was over 40 years ago, and I couldn't even pinpoint what area of that YMCA, but I went over there and just to reminisce, and it was great.
Good,
great.
good. And I want to tie into that a little bit. How has Jesus, not just since Margie's passing, but even before, how has Jesus impacted your life?
You know, this time I went over there, a lot of thoughts came to me. One of the thoughts was that when God brings you somebody in your life, there's a reason and purpose. I went over to YMCA to study English, to come over here. Little did I know that God has something else in plan for me.
Right.
There's a reason and purpose for that meeting with Margie, and she was my English teacher. That was it at that time. But then within 2 years, we got married. I didn't even know that I was going to marry an American girl. I had no idea.
Yep, right.
But God, and I was drifting away in my faith. And God brought Margie to me to bring me back to the family. And that I was forever grateful.
That is awesome.
Yes, and that because of that, I was back. And Margie, the love of my life, she contributed greatly in bringing me back to the family of God.
Fantastic. And what a, real quickly, your life obviously was, exponentially impacted by Margie's ministry. My life was impacted by her ministry, and so many other people's lives were impacted by her ministry. And one of the things that I've noticed since in the last year and a half, 2 years, is how you have said, you know what, this is God has prepared me for an opportunity to, not just as an elder, but just has prepared me to teach and to lead well. And I want to say thank you. And so how has as you've taken these steps in leadership, how has that impacted your life as well?
Well, in the beginning, I had a pretty rough time grieving because basically I was just focusing on myself, my loss, my wife, my life, my misery, my pain. And then one day I read this verse that says, rejoice always. And I said, how can I be rejoicing when I'm in pain? So I said, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to do that. And I get up in the morning and I said, thank God for this pain, for this loneliness. And then I start thinking and I said, well, the reason I have this pain was because it was so good. And now I don't have that. And now I started to think a little broader. And I said, wow, God gave me this. God gave me this wife that I wasn't even know that she was giving it to me. And then I start to see what God has done in my life. And then I start to shift from my own loss to what God has blessed me in my life, what he has given me. And he has given me so much that I just couldn't stop thanking him from that moment on. And my grief turned to joy.
That's amazing.
And that's basically the turning point is when I start to focusing on God instead of focusing on me, that change started.
And I know I'm asking you questions that you weren't prepared for, and I got to tell you, your answers are so not just so authentic and profound, but there's this just this sense of confidence that you have that the Lord has been with you through this whole experience. How has that impacted your life? That confidence, how have you talked about the grief now becoming joy. I'm sure there's still grieving that happens, no doubt about that. But yet, when I interact with you, and I think when many people interact with you, Conway, we know that there's grief there. Those that know you better than others, but there seems to be a peace about you. How do you explain that?
A lot of verses came to me, especially this past Sunday, Resurrection Day. The verse says that Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. And whoever believes in me will live even though they die. And I'm thinking, hey, Margie is alive. And then whoever is alive by believing in me will never die. I will never die. That's it. Isn't that cool? I will never die.
Exactly.
Because God says, I will give you the Holy Spirit when I go
Right.
away. And the Holy Spirit will be with you forever. I said, forever? Forever. That means when I die, I will have the Holy Spirit with me still.
Yep.
I will never die.
Yep.
I said, the more I think about it, the more joyful I become.
Exactly. Yep.
And that gives me hope. I mean, just staying with God, it gives me so much hope.
That's a beautiful thing. And I don't know if you know this or not, Conway. Forever is a really long time.
I would say that again.
So I mean, and that's the beauty of it. And so as you know, as we continue through this, and as you continue living your life, as I continue living my life, we have this great God who wants us to know that He's with us all the time. And we live in a world that is so temporal, and things change so radically and so quickly. Yet the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. And never's a long time too. And His love is for you, it's for me. And as we understand that more, the impact is ginormous.
Yeah, that is why it's so important to stay in His Word all the time, every day, because we are bombarded by the thoughts and everything around us every single day. And if we don't stay with His Word and read His Word every day, we will be defeated easily. Yeah.
It gets very discouraging.
Yes.
And we get very, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, my thoughts can run into some just discouraging places and some lonely places and some isolated. And yet in the midst of that, and this is the beauty of what you said earlier, the Holy Spirit's with us, and the Holy Spirit reaches into those areas and says, I'm going to correct that thinking. I'm going to correct, pardon my French, I'm going to correct your stinking thinking, and replace it with good thinking, and good thinking of who he is and how that impacts our lives.
That's the greatest blessing that we have as Christians, is the Holy Spirit is with us.
Yep.
And He is as powerful as the Father and the Son. He is God. And He is in us. And many times we don't feel that we have that power within us. And we do. We do.
Yeah.
And to recognize that and to acknowledge that and to draw that strength from Him, it's so vital as a Christian.
Vital.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I wish I could, and you might be able to tell me where it is, but I think it's in either 1st or 2nd Peter. It talks about the same power that brought Jesus back from the dead is available to us, right? I mean, is that 1st, 2nd Peter? Do you remember?
No, I think it's in Corinthians.
So there we go. It's in Corinthians. So this is why Conway's a great candidate for being an elder, by the way. So, and real quickly, on a lighter note, is that Conway attends this Wednesday night study that I do, and there are times when I'll just turn to Conway or to Jamal, because Jamal's there as well. Just say, guys, you want to chime in here about anything? And the depth of knowledge and the depth of grace that you guys have and you have towards me and towards the rest of those that are participating it's so beautiful, and I thank you for that. So, okay. So
Glad to be there.
do you have any questions for me?
Many questions, but not right now.
That works. So we're going to wrap this up. So this is Conway Coe, great brother, great friend, and a dear, dear follower of Christ who's making an impact in so many different ways. And the reason why he's making an impact is because his life has been impacted by God's grace, and he's a changed individual. So hope you get to know Conway a little bit better. If you have questions, please let us know. But we love you, and I want to say thanks for joining us, and I hope the rest of your day goes well. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.